live from Tel Aviv. The top stories this hour. Northern Israel under heavy fire for a second straight day by the Lebanese terrorist organisation Hezbollah. Some of the hostages rescued by the IDF last week speak out about their time in captivity as Hamas appears to turn down another offer of a ceasefire. And a new UN report accuses Israel of crimes against humanity, including the extermination of civilians in Gaza. Israel calls the charges repugnant. First, the Iranian-backed terrorist organisation Hezbollah says it has launched the biggest attack on northern Israel in months. More than 150 rockets and missiles have rained down on the north over the past 48 hours, including on the cities of Tzfat and Katzrin. Natasha Kirchuk has this report.
That's no parody. What you're seeing is a Hezbollah propaganda video that the Iran-backed terror group published in Hebrew last week to send a stark warning to Israel. And it's more than a threat. Wednesday, Israelis witnessed Hezbollah's worst attack since the start of the war, after the group launched over 200 rockets into northern Israeli communities from Lebanon, in response to Israel killing a senior Hezbollah commander. Now, the United States is calling to de-escalate the situation.
The United States is clear it doesn't want an escalation, but we are seeing an escalation, a very dramatic one. When can Israel respond?
Yes, the United States from day one, 7th of October, did warn against escalation. First, by deterrence, they sent here 2 aircraft carriers. Now they're gone, but they do not want to see an escalation or enlarging the war. But Hezbollah, which understands it, they're playing a game and they're banking on 2 things, I believe. One is that they know, or they think, that Israel will not start a second front until they are done with Gaza. So they feel...
Hamas, meanwhile, says it's not to blame for the apparent collapse of the latest attempt to reach a hostage release and ceasefire deal. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken expressed disappointment after the group responded to the offer by insisting on a full and permanent and immediate withdrawal of IDF troops from Gaza. Our senior correspondent Bianca Zanini has more.
The Palestinian flag is red, green, black and white, but the color of Gaza is grey. After more than 8 months of war, international pressure is ramping up for Israel and Hamas to reach a ceasefire deal. But 2 weeks after US President Joe Biden presented an Israeli-backed proposal, Hamas finally gave its response, with so many changes and amendments that Israel sees it as an outright rejection. At a press conference in Doha, Qatar.
So with no ceasefire in Gaza, the fighting continues. Our Ariel Osseran is in southern Israel and joins us now. Ariel, what's happening then after this latest attempt at a deal fell apart?
Right, Laura. Well, there's the situation, the diplomatic situation. That's the Americans and other mediators, Qatar, Egypt, trying to find a way to convince Hamas through pressure to return to the negotiating table and to take this deal, this proposal that has been brought forth. But that is the diplomatic avenue. As far as the military avenue is going on, the war in Gaza continues pretty much unaffected by these stalled negotiations. Over the past couple hours, we've heard the raid of artillery originating from Israel into Gaza pick up the pace, and Palestinians reporting Israeli artillery as far north as Beit Lahia. That's as far north as you can go in the Gaza Strip.
Well, there was no official announcement, but there are reports that the IDF Chief of Staff met with senior generals from several Arab countries in Bahrain this week under the auspices of the US Central Command, CENTCOM. According to those reports, Herzi Halevi met the top officials from Bahrain, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan and Egypt in Manama, Bahrain on Monday. To talk about that, we're joined by Dr. Nasir Al-Amari. He's an independent writer and political commentator. Good to see you, Nasir. Thank you for joining us. And is this a sign, perhaps, that the anti-Iran alliance is still going strong behind the scenes, despite the very public condemnations of Israel?
Yes, it is. The Arab regimes understand that the real threat to their rule is Iran, because they have expanded their forces around these U.S.-backed regimes. Saudi Arabia, Jordan understand that the real threat is not Israel, it's actually Iran.
Well, despite revising down its own death toll for Gaza, a new UN inquiry is accusing Israel of crimes against humanity, including the extermination of civilians in Gaza. Well, Israel hit back, calling the charges repugnant. Earlier, I spoke to Hillel Neuer, the executive director of UN Watch, about that. I asked him about that and about his organisation's own investigation into the finances of the UN Special Rapporteur, Francesca Albanese. Here's what he had to say.
Look, there are two issues here. One are her expenses. Who is paying for her trips? The second is money that she seems to be requesting, invoices that her office is issuing in exchange for activities, which are not supposed to be paid, certainly not by an external actor. So first, we know that she went on a trip to Australia and New Zealand in November. The trip is estimated to have costed more than $20,000. One of the things we exposed is the network run by Albanese to manipulate countries into funding UNWRA. It is a manipulation. The whole point is to support UNRWA's political agenda of dismantling Israel. Israel is accused, as you said, of extermination. That would be like saying when the Americans fought Hitler in World War II and the British, that they were guilty of extermination. No, the Nazis were exterminating Jews. They attacked the Allies, and the Allies fought a just war against Hitler. And that is exactly the case here.
Fierce clashes between IDF troops and gunmen in Kabatia. This is a town near Jenin, which is a hotbed, isn't it?
You know that Jenin is known for the support of the Islamic Jihad. The Islamic Jihad is another organization that is supported by Iran. We're seeing Iran trying to inflame the West Bank and Gaza, of course. We saw what happened in Gaza, in order to open another front. Israel is trying hard, to keep the West Bank as much calm as we can, but Iran and Hamas are trying to inflame the area, and this is what we see. IDF is trying all the time to cut the grass and make sure that the terrorists are taken down. And today there was another operation in the West Bank.
Where are they getting those weapons from?
They smuggle from Jordan. They still
any cooperation with Jordan on stopping those weapons from getting in?
All the time. Jordan is trying hard to stop it, but it's very hard. We have a very long border with Jordan. You cannot stop it completely. I remember when I was in charge of Jericho, maybe more than 20 years ago, trying to fight smuggling of ammunition into Israel, and they are still trying to stop it.
All right. Gonem Ben-Israq, Danny Ayalon, thank you very much indeed to you both.
Thank you very much for having us.
Now, a French citizen who spent almost 2 years in jail in Iran has arrived back home. Louis Arnaud, a banking consultant, was accused of taking part in anti-government protests. Meanwhile, in Iran, campaigning has begun ahead of the presidential elections next month. Hundreds of candidates are in the running, but the vote is largely symbolic, as Iran's supreme leader has the final say on any issue.